Okay, let's take a look at the elliptical marquee. We're going to do a lot of selections in Photoshop, and so the tools that we use them, once you get used to them, everything's great because everything we're going to do is going to be a selection. Again, you're going to notice that I'm going to talk a lot about efficiency and how quickly you can do things in Photoshop, but it's all about comfort. I'd say that over and over again. So I'm going to try not to do key commands, and I'm going to try to do everything from the menu. I just do this all day long, and I'm a keyboard shortcut junkie. So if you watch one of my videos and you go, "Whoa, how did you do that?" Just send me a reply or an email saying, "I saw this in the video," and I try, especially online, not to do that. We'll see how it goes from here. So I've got this image open from the image files, and this is elliptical marquee photo. There's a plate with some breakfast stuff on there. There's a croissant. It's a very French photo. So what I'm going to do here is I need to select with the elliptical marquee the plate. So if we grab the elliptical marquee and I click and I drag out, you see that we get a selection. But if we want a perfect circle selection, if I hold down the Shift key as I'm dragging out, I do get a perfect circle. But notice the problem. The problem here is when I'm drawing, because it's a circle, it's hard to get figured out where to start so that you get that plate perfectly. So I'm going to go up underneath Select, and I'm going to deselect. Now when I talk about me and being a keyboard shortcut junkie, this is one thing that you're going to do over and over and over again. As making selections, you're going to deselect your selection. So under Select is deselect, but notice right here there is a Command D or Control D on the PC. Learn this. It's a good one to do because you're going to do it all the time. That and Control Z. You're going to do undos a lot in Photoshop. So I'm going to Control D that. I'm going to deselect. And this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a little trick that works pretty good. And I used to teach a lot, and I don't teach as much anymore, but I'm going to show you. Up here in the, see how we have rulers to the top and to the left? If I see that my cursor turns into an arrow. If I click and drag down, you see that I'm creating a guideline. And I'm going to create a guideline right at the top of that plate. And the same thing with the left-hand side. I'm going to click with my arrow and I'm going to drag out so that I'm right on the edge of that plate, like so. Now with the elliptical marquee, I am going to create a square, because a circle really is a square. Does everybody know that? I've created this marquee guideline. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my elliptical marquee right up in that corner like that, and I'm going to drag out from that point, and that is going to give me a perfect starting point for this plate. And boom, I'm going to draw my ellipse, and I am going to be all set. I'm going to have the perfect ellipse right for my plate, and now I have that plate selected, and if I want, I can delete the plate, I can fill the plate, I can copy the plate, I can paste the plate. Because you need to make a selection, you just can't grab the plate and move it off because you'll move the whole entire image. Now that is all fine and dandy. The crosshairs is a great idea for a lot of things, but there's another way. I'm going to go up here to Select and Deselect, and I am going to get rid of those guidelines. So I'm going to grab the guidelines, which you can do, just grab them off here in the clipboard area and drag them back into the ruler, and they disappear. Instead of creating those lines, which you can, and sometimes I find it easier on certain things, but if I start to click and, oh, look at that, I have the wrong tool. I grab the single column marquee or the single row marquee, and it grabs a single row of pixels at a time. Way back when you didn't have layers, that was a great idea, and it worked pretty good for getting rid of little things, but now you never use it. So let's go back to the elliptical marquee tool, and I'm going to start clicking out and dragging, and it's not quite exactly where I want it. So if I hold down the space bar, Holding down the space bar and still holding the mouse allows me to move my selection, and then as soon as I let go of the space bar, I can continue to draw. Does everybody get that? I'm going to do that one more time. I'm going to do a shortcut there, Command D. Let's say I start drawing my circle over here, my ellipse over here. See how far off I am? So if I hold down the space bar without letting go of the mouse, I can move this up into this corner, draw out a little further, and it's still not right, so I'm going to go up and over a little bit, move my mouse down, and boom. I now have a selection of the plate, pretty good selection of the plate, and I'm ready to go to do my next thing. Now look at, with the elliptical marquee, we can just click and drag out and you create an ellipse of whatever shape size you want. If you hold down the shift key, it will drag out perfectly in a constrained proportions to a perfect circle. And then if we add the space bar as we're drawing, it allows us to move it and it doesn't turn off, so we don't have to make the selection, deselect, try it again. The space bar for that type of situation is fantastic. The only other thing I want to talk about is I'm going to deselect quickly, and if I hold down the Option key and drag, it drags from the center out. If I hold down the Shift key and the Option key, it drags from the center out as a perfect circle. And then of course, again, when I have the space bar, it allows me to do that also.